Hello all, so we're going to do another video for you today using some of our latest releases of Honeydew Crafts. So let's just pop some of these on here for you. So we're going to be using our Floral with Love, trailing frames, some embossing powders, our anti-static bag, obviously our sticky glue, and our Versamark ink pad. So let's come in a little bit closer and we can show you these. Just whip that out the way. So here we go. So we've got Floral with Love, which both of these sets are our $12.99 sets. So we've got the very large flourish, we've got thank you for being you, just because, and with love. And then we've got the smaller flourish up here in the top corner. And then we've got a tiny little flower if you wanted to decoupage some of the flowers as well. We're also going to be using the sentiments from this particular set. This is our trailing frame, so you've obviously got the large frame. You've got 4 sentiments that all fit inside the centre of this frame. We've got happy birthday, hello, just a little note, and have a wonderful day. And then you've got the small flower here for decoupaging on the flowers that are on here as well. We're going to be using obviously our Honeydew Craft sticky glue that comes in the 2 sizes, 120ml or 30ml. We've also got our Versamark ink. This is, for those of you that don't know, we call it an embossing ink pad. It's a sticky ink which allows the embossing powders to stick to it. We've got an anti-static pad or bag or whatever you want to call them. This is the one that we had in our had made for us. It's a little bit pretty, a few little some hearts and bits and pieces on there. We do like a little bit of pretty. And then we've got our embossing powders. The colours I'm going to be using today are copper, gold and silver. These 3 colours come in the just as a powder, which is what we're going to be using today, or exactly the same colours but with a glitter in. So we have Copper Classic, Golden Glamour or Silver Sparkle in the glittery ones. But as I said, we're using the non-glittery ones today. We'll get those out of our way. So we are going to get started. Today we are using a 7x7 card. I know, it's not like me, I've thrown you all. Because we're going to use a slightly different size. The eagle-eyed of you will notice there is a fold in my card. We are doing an easel card, and the easel card is just a 7x7 card. I've taken the front and I've literally folded it in half to get our easel tent pitch in there. We've got 6 pieces of cardstock. We have 2 black pieces in a 6.5 inch square. We have 2 white pieces, 6.25 inch, and then our 2 black pieces in 6x6. So I'm going to pop these 2 and the card out of the way, and we're going to work on these 2 to start with. Make sure you use your anti-static bag on here, particularly because we're using embossing powder with a black card, so it will show up. If you've got sticky fingers, it will stick there. And once you've put the anti-static bag on, try and handle it as little as possible. It will help you to not get those sticky fingers on there. Pop my bag off to one side. So we are going to first start with our large flourish from the Floral with Love, and we're going to ink that up with our Versamark ink. Lots and lots of little light taps. To get the ink on there. You need to spend the time putting the ink on there, because if you haven't put the ink in the right places, the powder's got nothing to stick to. So bear that in mind when you're inking your stamp up. It's a large stamp, so make sure you put plenty of pressure on it and give it enough time for the powder to, for the ink to be absorbed onto the cardstock. Plenty of pressure. And then we just lift that off, and hopefully you will just pick up a watermark. It looks really dusty on here because it is quite dusty on there from the anti-static bag, but you should be able to just pick up the watermark of the stamp on there. I'm also going to take the smaller stamped image, and I'm also going to ink that up with our Versamark. And I'm going to put that up in our top corner here. I have a feeling that might have just moved as I did that. Hopefully it didn't. If it did, it's just a video to show you how to do it. And we'll pop this up to one side. So now we've got, I don't know if it will come up on there. There, that kind of shows it, but it shows off all the anti-static dust as well. So I'm just going to give that a flick to get rid of that anti-static off there for you. Let me see. Oh, we'll get the camera angle right in a minute. There, just. So you can see the watermarked image. For those of you that have never embossed before, that is what you would expect to see. So we are now going to take our embossing powders. I'm going to take the copper and take a pinch out of the pot and just randomly sprinkle that on our image. And also up on the top there as well. Put it down in big clumps rather than individual pieces, or from sparkling or from up high. Put it down in big clumps. It will give you a much more stronger definition of colour when we can get to this final piece. It will make sense in a minute. And you're going to knock the excess off. I was maybe a little heavy-handed with the copper, but hey-ho. It'll still look pretty. And we'll put the excess back in the pot. You're going to do exactly the same with the gold. And whatever, actually, I'm going to do it with the silver because I have a gold one ready that I can show you. Sorry, I have a silver one ready. And again, that will make sense to you in a minute. So you can see how different they look. Even though they're the same colours, how different they're going to look. Give that a tap to take the excess off. And they won't cross-contaminate within the pots because it's the powder that's on there is already stuck down, so it won't cross-contaminate over. And then we're going to take the final colour. Now you can load as many different colours on here as you want, but just with your final colour at the very end, oh sorry, you're going to sprinkle that powder all the way over the top. Give it a good flick. We've missed some up the top corner there, so we'll just pick that up. And anywhere that you've got finger marks that you don't want them to be, just go in and whip that away. So I think that's looking pretty good. So you can see the difference in the colours on there. And we'll just pop that to one side again. Pick up all our embossing powder back in the pot. Now I want to pop a sentiment on here as well, and I'm using the happy birthday from the trailing frames. So I'm just going to do that at the same time. If you're not happy to do it as before you heat emboss the image, then please don't heat emboss your image first and then go back in and put your sentiment on. You don't need to press too hard with the sentiments. You just need it to soak into the cardstock. Pop your embossing powder on there again. And there we've got our happy birthday on there as well. So we're now going to heat this. Our cardstock, black cardstock, is particularly thick. It's 320 GSM. So it does take a little bit longer to heat than others do because of the thickness of the card. So I'm just going to heat my heat tool up. And then I'm going to heat from underneath. If you are not, I've just seen there's a couple of bits of embossing powder on here that I don't want to be there, so I'm just going to go in and wipe those away before you heat it up. So we're going to heat this from underneath. If you're not confident heating from underneath, you can heat from the top. Just be aware that some of your powder may fly about a little bit, but it'll just add a little bit of texture to your image, I suppose. That's entirely up to you. I just twigged, I'm not in camera so you can't see it changing. So all this is doing is heating the powder and melting it so it becomes a raised very slightly raised image on there. So it's nice and pretty and sparkly. If you are heating from underneath, just be careful of your hands, it does get very hot under there. I'm sorry, I know this isn't the most enthralling thing to watch, is it? But you're getting the idea. I'm nearly done. So there is our finished and embossed image. While the paper is still warm, I'm going to give that a little bit of a wiggle just to try and flatten that out a little bit. So we're then going to go back to our second piece of black cardstock. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm going to layer this up. As you all know, I like to get my layers put together as I'm going along because it makes 6 pieces become 3. So we're just going to flip this over and pop some glue on the back. Line that up as best we can. That down. And then we're going to flip this piece over. And line that one up. Try and do it without getting my head in the camera for you. So that's our top, the front of our easel card finished, our topper done. So I'm going to come in with this piece, and this is because I like to bring the image all the way through the card, not just on the front of the card. So I'm going to take my large flourish stamp again, and we're just going to ink up this top corner here. Me a second. And we're just going to position that in the bottom corners. So we're just bringing that whole flourish all the way through the card, so it's not just on the front of the card. And we're going to do exactly the same thing that we did before with the 3 different colours. We're going to add a little bit of copper, a little bit of gold and a little bit of silver. I seem to be very heavy-handed with my copper today. It'll still be very effective. So remember, we've gone all over the top with the gold, so we're only going to be putting a little bit of the silver on here in those big clumps so that you get the colour definition in there. to go all the way over the top with the gold. Then we're going to heat this one again. Underneath this one is going to be obviously much quicker because it's such a small piece. But it's just really nice to carry the whole theme through your card rather than just do it on the top, I think. And again, just give that a little bit of a wiggle. That was a good save. Nearly sent everything flying in. Just give that a little bit of a wiggle to flatten that cardstock out. We're going to glue this up to give our layers. And then our black layer on top. Excuse me for stretching across there, that was a bit bad. So we are now going to take our two squares and we're going to position them on our card. This obviously is the topper. And we're just going to stick the bottom half of this onto our easel so that we'll end up with the easel stuck like so. So pop a little bit of glue on the bottom half. You can put this onto foam pads if you'd prefer. The choice is yours. Lay your card flat, not with the easel up, lay it flat. And we're going to position that in the centre. And that gives us our topper for our easel card. Now this piece and this piece are exactly the same size. We're going to centre these in the middle, again on the inside of your card, and we're then going to try and make sure these are lined up underneath as well, so that when we pop our easel together and it's at an angle, they sit in line. That's just me being me with my OCD, I think, but I like it. It's all those little extra bits that you think about that make that card look a little bit more professional. If I can pick it up, that is. So we're going to centre this in this bottom square on the inside and line it up as best we can with our topper and position that down. So we've now got our topper on this side and this is the inside of our card for our easel. I've done my sentiment ahead of time and obviously I've moved over to the gold, so the sentiment on this one's going to be silver on the inside, but that doesn't make any difference whatsoever. So we're just going to pop some glue on the back of this. And the sentiment is just made, I keep all my little bits and pieces of offcuts of cardstock for my sentiments so that I can save on the waste. So we just pop our sentiment down there. And that's your anchor for your easel. So depending where you position that depends on how steep the easel card is going to be. Now obviously we've got the little detail down here, so we didn't really want to cover that over. But if we can manage to do this, there you go, we can see our easel card. That was quick and easy, wasn't it? So all you missed me do was cut out the size squares, and that's a 2-minute job because they are square. But as I said, I would show you one done with the silver on the top, and although they're the same colours, they look different. Can you see that? Let's go in a bit closer. So that the silver is a much stronger colour on the one on the right hand side, the one that you can see bouncing up. So again, same colours, but done in the sparkly on white cardstock or on black cardstock. So the choice is yours as to which way you go. Camera doesn't really show it off as much, the sparkle, than if you did it in person, but it's worth a try just to play around and see which one you like the best. So let's have a quick run through I'll tell you what, let's have a look at some of the other cards that are made with this particular set of stamps. So this is again made with the Floral with Love, and there's a couple of little sequins on there. It's just been coloured in, stamped in black ink, crystal clear embossing powder over the top, and coloured in with pens. This one has been done with some ink blending, again stamped in black, crystal clear embossing powder over the top, and coloured with pens. And in the background, the layering layer, so to speak, has also had the smaller of the flourishes stamped on there to tie everything together. This one has just again been stamped with the black ink and coloured with pencils, and then just to make it really pop, I think this was Carol, and she has coloured in the background of the stamp as well to make that really stand out. This one, I love these colour choices, and they're not a colour choice I go for that often, but I think it's a beautiful card. And again, the flourish has been used in the corners as well as the whole image, and they're just because stamped around the edge. And last but not least, I'm just going to whip that off there so you can see it. Another easel card done with this. I think this particular card really lends itself well to doing easel cards, but this one's just been done with some inks blended around the edge, coloured with clean colour pens, and black ink with crystal clear embossing powder over the top. So let's flick back to here and let's see what we've been using. So this is obviously our finished card with our sentiment in the middle there to hold it up as an easel. Easel cards are really difficult to show on a camera, have you noticed? So hopefully you have got the idea of that one. And what we have used is, pop that out of the way and then we can bring them in. Just a little reminder, we used the sentiments from our trailing frame, so we used the happy birthday and have a wonderful day. We've also used the Floral with Love, so we've got the large flourish and the smaller flourish, again with just a couple of sentiments, so you can quite happily use those sentiments if you would like. We have used the embossing powder. Now I used the non-sparkly embossing powders, so we've got copper, gold and silver, but they also come in the sparkly version, which is silver sparkle, golden glamour and copper classic. We've used the Versamark embossing ink. We've used an anti-static bag. We have also used the sticky glue in the Honeydew Craft sticky glue, and that comes in the two sizes, the 120ml or the 30ml. And you have made a beautiful card. Let me come back into me, take all of this bit off. Oh, it's got so hot in here. I think it's because I'm under all these cameras. So I hope you've enjoyed our little video today. As you saw, we've done that card pretty much from start. All I have done is cut out those 3 squares in advance and folded my my card base to make my easel. It takes about, what, 20-25 minutes, maybe half an hour. It's a really lovely card. Depending on what you're using, you can use it for any occasion. So I hope you've enjoyed the video. If anybody's got any questions or would like to ask anything, you can get hold of us via our email, which is honeydewcrafts@gmail.com, or you can get us on our website, which is across the bottom of the screen, the honeydewcrafts.co.uk. We also have a couple of Facebook pages, so we've got just the normal Honeydew Crafts Facebook page, or we've got one that is for our followers, which is Honeydew Crafts Be Inspired, and all you need to do is go on there and apply to be accepted into the group, and away you go. It's a lovely group. Everybody shares all their fab samples and projects that they finished, and asks any questions, and you know what, no question's silly if you don't know the answer to it. And that's been the lovely thing about the group. Everybody's just mucked in and helped everybody out. Everybody's at different stages. It's a really fun group to be part of. So we'll just flick back so you can see what we've used again and what we've finished. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and we'll be back again soon. Take care. Bye.